All right, I think I'm live. Let me get live on Insta. There we go. All right, all good. All right, y'all. DT2 Comics Chat here. Welcome to my weekly comics chat. I know I haven't been on in a while. Okay, so I'm going to start dropping these once a week on Fridays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I'm not going to talk about everything that happened in comics that week because you can't. So much stuff is happening now. But I'm going to talk about what caught my attention for the week. So I'm either going to live stream like I am now, I'm going to upload a video, going to have lots of fun stuff going on. So that's what I got going on for now. So please support my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe because I'm trying to launch my comic empire and I need your support. Okay, I want to tell good stories about original characters that I really love. So somebody asked me why I hadn't been on in a while. It's because I had a really rough year last year. I had lots and lots of challenges. Lord have mercy. I had a lot of things that I had to overcome, but I'm back now. So for now, I'll be starting out with these weekly chats. I might drop more, being a YouTuber full time is you can't do anything else. And I have lots of other things that I do. So for now, I'll be doing this weekly comics chat. And again, it's just to focus on something that stood out to me in the week because there's too much comic news that comes out every week to do all of it. Okay? Wait a minute. I need some water. Hold on. I knew I was forgetting something. You know that feeling you get when you're doing something and you're like, something is missing up in this mug. So I knew I was forgetting something. So anyway, I forgot my water. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is Captain America Sam Wilson or Captain Falcon or Black Captain America or Falcon with a shield, whatever name you prefer. The buzz this week was all about statements that Anthony Mackie made while he was doing a press tour for the soon-to-be-released Captain America Brave New World. Now, that movie's been rewritten at least 4 times that we know of, and has been reshot at least once because they publicly admitted to all of that. Okay, so I'm not making that up. So good times. There's lots and lots of videos out there about that. Okay, but what I want to talk about today is the outrage. Okay, just the sheer outrage. I posted several tweets this week about his comments, and the response that I got ranged from people that, gave me a hard agree, from people that had hard hatred and outrage. Somebody called me Uncle Ruckus. You need to look up Uncle Ruckus if you don't know what that means, because they feel like any criticism of a Black actor, any criticism of a Black character means that you're an Uncle Ruckus, okay, which amazes me. Anybody that shows up and says they can't be criticized, they can't be corrected, they can't be wrong about anything, that their perspective is the only one, and there's something wrong with you if you don't see it like they do. Mm-mm. Facts are not subjective. Opinions and perspectives are. Okay? So when somebody comes to me like that, I'm like, so anyway, but what I did notice is that there was this huge passion. There was this huge passion. Nobody responded calmly. Nobody responded, just in a kind of blasé or casual way. Nobody did. Everybody that responded with great passion over this Anthony Mackie thing. And so I'm trying to figure out the source of that anger. I'm trying to figure out where is it coming from? Because in every place that I saw it, like I said, it was definitely with great passion and great substance. But I want to know, what is the source of that? What is the source of it? Why are people so passionate? Why did I get such vehement responses no matter what I posted? Because every time I talked about it, it was just this rage. And some of it was raging in agreement with me, and some of it was raging against me, and I didn't quite understand. So that's what I'm going to talk about, because none of it was neutral. So are people angry about what Mackie said? Are they angry about the way he said it? Are they angry in general about Sam getting the shield instead of Bucky? Are they angry because they don't agree on what America means, what America is supposed to represent? I suspect it's some of all of the above. But again, I was quite fascinated by it because I didn't understand the different places it was coming from. Because just like anything else, whatever America means to you, that's what it means to you. So I try to use facts as a basis when I form my opinion. I try, I'm not perfect, but I try to say, based on these facts right here, this is how I got to my conclusion. Okay. I know everybody doesn't approach it that way. That's why I'm doing this live stream. So I want you to leave me some comments. Jump on the live stream if you're looking at it and give me some comments, or leave me some comments below, because I'm trying to understand what it is about what Mackie said and what it is about what I tweeted that's just sent people into this screaming rage. Okay, so let's pull up those tweets and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, now you should be able to see that now. Let me see, is that the ratio that I want? No. Okay, I'll use that one. Wait. Okay, I'll use that one. And let me get my banner out the way so you can see everything. Okay, so there's that. So first tweet I posted was a Captain America movie where the lead says that America isn't necessarily one of the things that Cap should represent. And I said, so I'm going to plant this flag one more time. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Lord have mercy. Now, when I said that, that is what Anthony Mackie said. I'm not making that up. His words were, I think Captain America represents a lot of things, but I don't think the word America should be one of them. I don't understand how you expected people to take that. Now, if you just put your foot in your mouth, welcome to Earth, because we all put our foot in our mouth sometimes. Okay, so if you just made a verbal misstep, or what you said wasn't quite, what you meant, and he did come back later, we're going to talk about that. But I'm saying, how many different ways can that be taken? I didn't understand, because some people came on and said they understood exactly what he meant, and we were just overblowing things and blah, 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 blah. And again, everybody just lost their mind because, we know what he meant and all that. So here's people talking about Bucky should have gotten the shield. Some people agreeing, hard agree. Some people saying that they're misunderstanding what Mackie was saying. Steve Rogers represents what America should be, not necessarily what it is. And I addressed that later, because I responded by saying, if Steve represents what America should be, that makes him Captain America, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. And so my first point here is, how did Anthony Mackie or anyone expect a statement like that to be taken? Because there's only so many ways to take that. And also because when you're not clear when you speak, you're expecting other people to kind of do your work. So that's why Earthworm says Captain America stands for one and only one thing, America. That's right. How is that a leap? A leap? How is that even controversial? Because his name is Captain America. His costume is modeled after an American flag. His costume colors are red, white, and blue. His purpose was to fight against the Nazi regime in World War II. As a matter of fact, the reason that Simon and Kirby created Captain America and Stan Lee wrote stories and all that was to give people a symbol of optimism for American values. Right, he has an A on his head for America. That's right. But the reason Captain America was actually created was to give people a symbol for American values. And that's also why, in his first comic ever, he's on the cover page punching Hitler. That's the whole reason this character exists. I mean, literally. So I cannot understand how many different ways you could take somebody saying, I don't think that the word America should be what Captain America represents. It just sounds so silly when I say it. I don't think bacon should represent bacon. I don't think, what? I can't make heads nor tails of it. So that's why I'm on here trying to understand. And when people said that they understood what he meant, they understood that, Captain America represents more, and Captain America represents American ideals. What you need to understand is that they are American ideals, because that's the point of the character. Now, if you mean these ideals for all people, nothing wrong with that. I'm going to talk about that in the next tweet. But they're rooted in something. That's the point. It's not Captain Canada. It's not Captain Russia. It's not Captain China. It's not Captain Mexico. It's Captain America. That means whatever values and ideals he represents and he believes is rooted in something. Okay? I read a tweet this week where somebody said they didn't understand how people outside of America could understand that Superman and Captain America are shaped by American culture. Okay. Can't be taken any other way than Mackie stating that Captain America doesn't stand for America, total garbage. I mean, again, how many different ways is there to take that? Okay, so if he put his foot in his mouth, that's one thing, but you need to be more clear when you speak. And the other component of that is you're on a press tour. This is already a troubled production. See, this is why I don't fool around with people that don't have any feet in reality. Whenever they're approaching me for a conversation, they don't have any feet in reality, then I'm not dealing with that. I'm not talking to that. Because you're on a press tour, and this is a troubled production. This is a production that has been rewritten at least 4 times, that was admitted to, and has been reshot at least once, shot a total of 2 times, which means there's probably other cuts available. But also, they talked about the true budget, and everybody believes the budget is anywhere between $350 million. And by the time we add advertising costs, it's going to be $500 million, which is $500 million. So last week they put out some information that said the true budget was only $180 million. Maybe that was the budget for the reshoot. There's no way they've only spent $180 million on this movie. So it's already a troubled production. So what you don't want to do is get somewhere online and make it harder for people to want to come see the movie. So when you say stuff like that and you're overseas, are you pandering to a non-American audience? Are you saying that you're ashamed of America? Are you saying that you're ashamed of who's in the White House right now? Like you don't agree with our current administration? Like what do you mean by that? That happens in your personal life all the time. Mm-hmm. You're in conversation with a teacher, you're in conversation with your parents, you're in conversation with your partner, you're in conversation with a friend, and they make a statement, and then you say, what do you mean by that? Because there's more than one way to take it, but there's not really more than one way to take. I don't think Captain America should represent America. So bashing your country and bashing the symbolism of the character you're playing is not going to help you. See, so this is what I mean when I didn't understand such a polarized response. Because I'm like, how many different ways can you take that? Okay? So that's tweet number 1. Let's move on to tweet number 2, and I will again show you exactly what I'm talking about. In tweet number 2, you know what I did? I did a history lesson on how America was founded. I'm amazed to this day how people talk about America, and they talk about American values, and they talk about Captain America, and they talk about Sam Wilson as Cap or whatever, but they don't really understand how the country was founded. How was it founded? And more importantly, why? Why does America exist according to the way it got established? Well, America originally started out as English colonies, that England was trying to increase its, territorial grip, and they started these colonies in the Americas. But the founding fathers did not agree with the monarchy. More specifically, they didn't agree with the idea of the king having control of their lives while still in England. And if you fell out with the king, or if you fell out with the church, you could get disenfranchised. And that means you lose your property, you lose your social standing, you become nothing if the king disfavors you or the church disfavors you. And they didn't like that. Okay? And so the match that lit the fuse was what we call the Boston Tea Party, or when they realized that taxes were being levied back in England that the new American colonies had to pay, and they had no representatives. Nobody was there to speak for the colonies in America. So now you can see how all those ideas began to coalesce and why they formed America the way that they did. They didn't want a monarchy. They didn't want the church to be the deciding factor as to your citizenship status. And they didn't want anybody passing laws or making taxes where the people didn't have a voice. Didn't that just make sense? And so they believed all citizens should have rights. Among them, the idea that people are created equal and they should have liberty, free speech, freedom of religion, due process of law, and freedom of assembly. Now, I know what some people are going to say. I know you're going to say that it's never been the case where that has been lived up to. I understand that, and that's correct. Those words were stated, but depending on which group in America you're a part of, some groups have had to fight and still continue to fight for the all people being created equal and all people having the same rights. So the statement on the founding documents is that we should all have the same rights, but the practical reality hasn't been the same for everyone. I know that. That is factual. That is not. That's factual. That even though those words were stated, they haven't been applied equally to all citizens. We know that. How can that be denied by anyone with any feet in reality? Okay. But what we're talking about is the idea and the ideals. And ideally, okay, because some of the founding fathers owned slaves and some didn't. You can't truly believe all people are created equal if you own slaves, but some didn't. Okay, so there's been key points in American history where certain groups were granted rights that they didn't have before. So this has been, a progression, an evolution. It hasn't been all at once, but I'm talking about why the country was founded. I'm talking about the ideas and the ideals that they espoused to actually form the country. I'm not talking about how it's played out in our 249, 250 year history. Okay, because we know how it's played out. I'm talking about the ideas they had when they made it. So liberty, free speech, and while I'm here, Lord have mercy, when people talk about free speech, the original idea behind free speech was that you could speak against the government and they couldn't jail you or disenfranchise you. It was specifically talking about the government because you could not speak against the king in England, and they didn't like that. So when they talked about free speech, their original idea was that you could speak against the American government and it wasn't going to result in, you going to jail, or that's the original idea. So when people scream free speech, they mean something different now. They mean I ought to be able to say whatever I want to say, which is not the original idea. But anyway, freedom of religion, due process of law, and freedom of assembly. So you should be able to choose your faith, whatever your faith is, no faith, how you practice it. And the church shouldn't be able to decide your status. Due process of law means you're supposed to have a right to a fair and speedy trial. You're supposed to have a right to defend yourself, and you have a right to face your accusers. That's another one that's gotten muddy in the last several years because of social media. Now people get tried in the media, but I'm talking about the original idea. And freedom of assembly, that's another one that's gotten really muddy. But I'm talking about how it started. I'm not talking about how things have played out. So if you say that Steve Rogers is independent or rebel, will fight, I had a typo there, will fight for what he believes is right against the government, doesn't support unfairness, and believes in justice and freedom for all people, that's why America was founded. That's exactly why America was founded. That's why this country exists. That's why I made my statement. Steve Rogers is Captain America. I did not say Steve Rogers is Captain Government. And some people think that's what I said. That ain't what I said. What I said was Steve Rogers is Captain America. Okay? Because he stands for the ideals and the ideas of what this country was built on. And I'm also going to throw this in, even though I made another tweet about this, even though I didn't cue that up, but I'm also going to throw in Captain America was specifically created as a super soldier because Captain America was supposed to be the first of many. Okay? He was supposed to be the first of many. They actually were trying to create an army of super soldiers to help us win World War II. But Steve Rogers is the first success story that they had. And then Dr. Erskine was killed. And he never really wrote his formula down. So that success has never been duplicated. Okay? But Steve Rogers, being independent, being a rebel, being willing to fight against the government, not supporting unfairness, believing in justice and freedom for all people, is exactly why this country exists. So for Anthony Mackie to say he doesn't think Captain America should represent America, that's so discordant. That's such a discordant idea, and that's such a ridiculous idea until that's what I'm saying. I don't understand the outrage. I really don't. Okay? So let's move on to my final tweet. And my final tweet was once again, or the final tweet I'm going to talk about today, was once again Anthony Mackie completely contradicting himself. Okay? He said this right here. In the same statement, he said, I feel like it's just as important for black kids to see a black Captain America as it is for white kids. Then he said, growing up, one of my favorite superheroes was Green. It wasn't about race or anything. It was about him being a good guy trying to do the right thing. And then I said, these statements contradict each other because they do. If you're saying on one side, it's important for black kids to see a black Captain America, and then it's important for white kids to see it too, that's very much about race. That's completely rooted in race. Okay, and then if you say, while you were growing up, if your favorite guy was the Hulk, it wasn't about race, it was because he was a cool character or whatever, then how do those two statements gel? I don't understand. Those are inherently contradictory. Can't people see that? And once again, I got this huge rage-filled response. So let me give you my perspective, okay? I don't believe in terms like white people. You trying to tell me that the Russians are the same as the French, are the same as the Germans, are the same as the Swedes, are the same as the Brits, are the same as the Italians? Them is all Caucasian-based ethnic groups and nations. You're trying to tell me them all the same people? See, that's laziness, cultural laziness, grouping people together by skin color. And, and also, if you know anything about African nations, Kenyans aren't the same as Ghanans, aren't the same as Zimbabweans. I mean, they're not all the same people, but we have this label black people, white people. And so everything about that, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of ridiculous. So I just use the terms for ease of conversation because I don't believe in them because they don't make any sense. Whenever I see people say black kids and white kids and this and this and that, you know what my first thought is? My first thought is, why do many people think black people and white people are the only people that count? And what about non-whites or non-black people? Where does that leave them when you make statements like that? Because following that logic, we need a captain Latin America. We need a captain Japanese America. We need a captain, Mexican American. We need all that following that logic. So that, those terms, black kids and white kids and black people and white people, these broad general brushes that you paint all these people, that's not what makes you you. What makes you you is God, Father, country, your faith beliefs, the family you come from, and where you grew up. That's what makes you you, not skin color. Okay, I'm planting my flag right there, and I'm not moving. That is what makes you you, not the color of your skin. Okay, so in the same statement, Mackie is saying that it's important, and it's that whole idea of representation. That's another idea that's just captured pop culture in the last 5 to 10 years. And I'm like, it's not possible for everybody to be represented. Not possible. It's not possible to take every combination of person and every different element that makes up people and have a hero that represents every different group you could be a part of or every different perspective that you have. It's not possible. And before 10 years ago, before this even became a thing, nobody in comic fandom was talking about stuff like that. I said it in another tweet. I said if representation was an actual requirement, how did Superman become so popular? Superman has not been out of print since 1938. I never once felt like growing up that Superman had to be black. My favorite two characters are Batman and Captain Marvel. Okay, I relate to both of them for different reasons, but I did not feel like they had to be black. And let me throw in, the reason I don't need my superheroes to be black is because of my father. My father was my hero, still is. Okay, so it didn't register to me that superheroes had to be. And like I said, once you start down that path, there is no way to satisfy that concept. Let me say that again. Once you start down that path, there is no way to satisfy that concept. It is not possible to create a hero. It's the same hero or heroine that represents every possible combination of human being. That doesn't even make any sense. That's one of the problems they have with Wonder Woman. Do you know why they keep having problems? Because I want you to notice they don't have necessarily the same kind of problems with Storm or Black Canary or Vixen or Hawk Girl or Jessie Quick. They have these problems specifically with Diana. You know why? Because they keep trying to make her every woman. Diana is not every woman. Diana is a very specific character. They just won't always let her be who she is. Because nobody can be every man. Nobody can be every woman. Batman doesn't represent everybody. He represents his particular set of circumstances. Superman doesn't represent everybody. Barry Allen, on and on and on and on. So that's what I'm saying when Mackie makes statements like that. It's important for black kids as well as white kids to see a black Captain America. My immediate response is, what about Japanese kids? What about Mexican kids? What about other countries that have a large Caucasian population, but they're not American? So you see all the different things that you're dealing with: nationality, ethnicity, primary language, cultural norms. You see all that you're dealing with? Not possible. And nobody in comic fandom ever required anything like that before 10, 12 years ago. Nobody talked about that. Then here they come with this representation mess. America, I just read for you how the country was founded. America was founded on a very specific set of ideas and a very specific set of ideals. And again, I acknowledge that it hasn't played out 100%, but that was the idea. So Captain America, see, it just sounds funny to me when I say it because it's so ridiculous. So Captain America is the embodiment of those ideas and those ideals. And Steve Rogers in particular has always stood up for that idea. Okay, now this right here, the Earthworm said, I can't agree with this anymore. Just make new characters represent what you'd like. Stop trying to remake an already established character. That is gold. That is gold right there. Okay? And that's what a lot of longtime comic fans have been saying for a while. Instead of taking, see, because the truth of the matter is you don't believe in your character. Because if you did, you just make an original character. If you think what you're talking about or what you're trying to represent is all that powerful and all that important, you just make a character around that. But that ain't what you believe. So you want to hijack an already popular character that has a lot of eyes on it. You want to hijack an established character and then twist them into something that they're not under the guise of representation. And another thing that I heard a lot is how degrading it is to Falcon, Sam Wilson, and black characters in general to give him basically, a hand-me-down character, trying to make him be Captain America. Because Falcon is an outstanding character. He always has been. If you didn't know, in the comics, his bird Red Wing is an actual bird. Now, in the movies, in the MCU, it's a drone. But in the comics, he actually has an actual bird. So Falcon is really, really cool. And he always has been. And we like MCU Falcon too. But his series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, changed the character. Because Falcon is a supporting character and he was there to support Cap. And that was pretty much his role. And we were good with that. But then when you try to make him a main character, what's his backstory? What's his motivation? And then in his series, Falcon and Winter Soldier, became very, very preachy. Because there was another situation where they're trying to beat you over the head with their message or whatever. You've got to do better, Senator, that kind of thing. And don't nobody want to hear all that. Don't nobody want to see all that. I made a tweet once again where I said, Steve Rogers, Captain America, was an inspirer. Sam Wilson, Captain America, is a lecturer. And don't nobody want to be lectured to ever. No one wants to be lectured to. If you want people to embrace American ideals, then you have to demonstrate them. That's what Steve Rogers is about. Falcon is awesome. They ruined him in the MCU. That's right. That's right. Steve Rogers is about that. Steve Rogers is about standing for those ideas and those ideals. And yes, he'll go against the government. Yes, he'll fight for what he believes. Yes, he'll sacrifice his life because he believes that all people should be free, because he believes that all people should have rights. You can't get any more American than that. So, like I said, I just can't understand this outrage at his statements, because There's no other way to take what he's saying. In the same sense, when you say white kids and black kids need to see a black Captain America, now you make Captain America be about race. You said that. You said that. You said that black kids and white kids need to see a black Captain America. What does that mean? Are you saying that there aren't enough black heroes? Are you saying that there aren't black heroes that represent different black people's lives? Because that's not true. We have Icon, we have Blue Marvel, we have T'Challa, we have Falcon, we have Storm. We've been clamoring for a Storm solo movie or TV show for a long time. We have Vixen. So many. I'm not naming them all, but we have so many. We have Static Shock. We have Black Lightning. We have Black Lightning's daughters. So is it specifically related to Captain America being black? Blade. That's right. How could I forget Blade? My favorite. Is it specifically related to Captain America being black? Is that necessary? Because that hasn't been necessary for 40, 60, 80 years now. Okay? But like I said, following that logic, you have to have then a Captain America for every group. And then once we get into ethnicity, then that's going to lead to getting into gender and sexuality. So I will repeat my statement that it's not possible to take one character and make them represent all people. It's not possible to have one character be all things to everybody. That is not possible. Rather, characters need to have a specific backstory, specific motivation, specific powers, specific flaws, weaknesses, things that they're going for, things that they're afraid of. That's what makes a character, not skin color. And that's what happens when you have people doing stuff, but they're not actually writers. Writing is a craft. Writing is an art. Writing is a skill. And you have to work on it to get good at it, just like any other skill. And so if you want to craft a character has to have all those elements. Sometimes if they don't have those elements, they are a caricature. They are a mocking. They are a likeness. They are making fun of what they're based on. That's what Sam Wilson, Captain America, has become. A bit of a caricature, a bit of a joke. Falcon was cool. They should have left him in Falcon. Even if we had a Falcon movie, that would have been cool. But they should have left Sam Wilson there. But making him Captain America did not work in the comics either, if you didn't know that. It has never worked. It's never been popular. It's never been a thing that has caught on because Steve Rogers is Captain America. Okay? And I just explained to you why. Now, as some people challenged me on Twitter and said that Steve Rogers wasn't the only Captain America, we know that. And other people have borne the shield. And, we talked about USA Agent. We talked about Bucky and all that. I want you to notice something, however. I want you to notice that every Captain America after Steve is always trying to live up to Steve. That don't tell you nothing. If Steve Rogers himself is not Captain America, then why does everyone that picked that up later that tries to be Captain America, why did they say they have to live up to his legacy? Why is that? And also, let me say that giving someone the shield does not make them Captain America. So everybody makes this big deal about the scene in Endgame where old Steve is back in the present and he hands the shield over to Sam. That doesn't make Sam Captain America. How do I know that? Because Vance Astro, in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, Vance Astro had Captain America's shield. He wasn't trying to be Captain America. He had Captain America's shield. Okay? So the more they push the Sam Wilson as Captain America narrative, the worse it gets. The more Anthony Mackie talks about what he believes about his version of Captain America, the worse it gets. The more they rewrite and reshoot this movie, the worse it gets. Because Sam Wilson is not Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Plant my flag right there, because that's the truth. Okay? And what they should have done, I tweeted on this too, what they should have done is they should have made an Invaders movie while we can still get Chris Evans. If Steve went back in time to spend his life with Peggy, then we should have seen Jim Hammond, Toro, Namor, and then eventually Spitfire, Union Jack, all the invaders getting together in World War II, and Steve deciding to fight with them while he was back there. Because Steve Rogers could never sit around and do nothing, which is why I didn't buy the idea that he went back in time to be with Peggy, and then that was just it. He just grew old with her. That's not Steve. So what they should have done, instead of Captain America Brave New World, they should have done an Invaders movie with Chris Evans. And since Endgame took him back in time, then he can still fight Hitler, still fight the Nazis, still fight the Third Reich, this time being joined by Union Jack, Spitfire, Jim Hammond, Human Torch, Toro, Namor, and Bucky. Now, they couldn't make Bucky be a little kid like he is in the comics because they established Sebastian Stan as a grown man. But it still would have been cool to see. That movie had a chance at hitting $1 billion. To see the actual Captain America back in action and to see the Invaders, we've been clamoring about that for a long time. That's what they should have done. But, oh well. So now this movie is going to drop next month, going to drop actually in a couple of weeks, and we're going to see how it's going to do. So to recap, I talked about how could Anthony Mackie's statements be misinterpreted if he said Captain America shouldn't necessarily represent America. That's a head scratcher. I talked about how America was actually founded and how Steve Rogers represented how America was actually founded. And I talked about, again, Mackie making contradictory statements that he thought white kids and black kids need to see a black Captain America. But when he was growing up, it wasn't about race. It was about a hero trying to do the right thing. So which one is it? If you even want to talk about motivations for a hero to do the right thing, that doesn't take away from Steve Rogers. That's why Steve Rogers is who he is. That's why Superman is who he is. Because of that moral code that drives them. You can't undermine a character's moral code and then think they're the same character. That's what Luke Skywalker's arc was about. Anakin's arc was about how he turned away from the Jedi moral code and embraced the dark side and became Vader. Luke's arc was about being tempted like his father, but making a different choice. You can't undermine the moral motivations of a character and then think it's the same character. So that's why everything Mackie says is just so confusing. It's contradictory and it's off base, it's off center from what Captain America is about. Okay? So that's it for this weekly comment shot. Like I said, if you weren't on when I come on, I'm going to come on every week, Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm either going to do a live stream like I'm doing now, I'm going to upload a video, and I'm going to talk about what caught my eye in comics during the week. I can't talk about everything because that's not possible, but I am going to talk about what stood out to me. And this week was severely about Anthony Mackie and his comments and what Captain America is supposed to be about. Okay? So thanks to those of you that watch me live. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video. Leave me some comments below because I want to hear what you have to say about Mackie's comments, about is Steve Rogers Captain America truly or not? Okay? And representation, does that matter? I want to hear about that because those are serious topics. So leave me some comments below this video, and I'll talk to you again next week in the video. But don't forget to follow me on Twitter because I'm on Twitter every day. DT2 Comics Chat right there on the screen. Follow me on Twitter because I'm there every day. All right. Earthworm said, good job, boss. Thank you. All right. I'll talk to everybody soon. Peace out.